Good evening, my friends. Ivan here, your Kingdom lender powered by Edge Home Finance. And I'm joined by a good friend and top producing real estate agent with Rebel Real Estate, Chris Wolf. He's here for moral support and to talk about a topic that I think has come up a lot in the last 6 months, both in the mortgage side of the industry and, of course, the real estate side of the industry, which are kind of dovetailed together. And that topic is you're trying to get more listings, but guess what? Sellers don't want to sell because they don't want to get rid of their low rate that they got a few years ago, right? Or they're not necessarily sure where to go next and what the rates are today. So we're going to address that question. And of course, we've had a lot of buyers trying to sit on the fences too, because home prices have escalated and interest rates have gone a little bit higher as well. And so we're gonna spend a little bit of time going through some facts and going through some talking points to hopefully get you and your clients off the fence, just by kind of dispelling some of the myths and some of the things that people get up in their heads about, and just handle it with facts and good conversation. So hopefully we can get some of those buyers and those sellers into the market. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you through a basic and quick presentation to address some of those issues. This, for those of you who are watching live, this is being recorded, so don't worry if you miss part of it. And first, I need to share my screen. All right. Chris, give me a quick thumbs up if you can see that presentation now. All right, beautiful. So that's what we're going to be talking about, right? What are some strategies and really talking points to try to get your buyers and your sellers off the fence? One of the first things that we need to do and we need to address is to overcome those fears, those anxieties with facts and information, because I think there is a lot of misinformation out there. I think people talk to their cousins, their nephews, or they hear something online, and then they formulate these opinions or ideas that maybe aren't necessarily based on fact. So first, let's take a look at where things have been over the course since really about 2002, since they were tracking this. And one thing that we know happened is that mortgage originations really did take a dip in 2023. Anybody that's been in the industry for a little while, both on the real estate side and on the mortgage side, will tell you, man, 2021 is pretty good. 2022, man, that was like a banner year for a lot of people in the industry, which was great because we had a combination of a lot of good things happening. And then, of course, as rates started to increase, prices continued to increase as well, and less originations, partially due to the fact that the real estate market, the real estate agents, just weren't getting approached as much by sellers needing to sell or wanting to sell, and buyers that were in a position to not only qualify, but felt comfortable paying these higher prices. And so many people just got beat out by excess offers and over asking and all these kind of things that happened for the course of a good 8 months or so, that just really got people kind of weary. And the craziest thing I ever saw was an agent saying, "Don't even bother submitting an offer unless you're going to offer 500 over asking." And guess what? Of course, that was LA County. It's you probably wouldn't see that anywhere else. But if you look down here, kind of around this timeline where you see the difference between refi volume and purchase volume by the two different colors, I remember thinking back, and this was before I was in the industry, but I remember thinking back, man, like we just got a 24% appreciation in like 2 months. Like, what is going on? And if you think back to when you were driving around, I'd never seen so many new Hummers on the road. Why is that? Well, people were refinancing and doing irresponsible things, in my opinion. They were refinancing. They were buying liabilities like Hummers. I had a friend of mine refinance twice during that boom. He bought new TVs, new stereo systems, new different things for the house. And man, those were the heydays. And I bought my house in 2007, not knowing anything about real estate, and then we had that crash. And it's taken me all this time to recover all that equity. But 2021, 22, things started to pick up. And of course, the refi volume went down, because who's going to refinance when the rates are at 2, 3, 4%? And now all that kind of stuff is starting to come back, and the statistics are saying that this coming year, 2024, is probably going to be one of the best purchase years that we've had in a really long time. So you got to be prepared to take advantage of all that opportunity, both as a real estate agent and of course as a consumer that's looking to either make a move up, lateral, or buy your house for the first time. So these are some of the things that we've been facing, the challenges that we've been facing, right? The reluctance to give up the low rate and move up, or waiting for rates to come down if you're buying, and of course most sellers become buyers again. Waiting for housing prices to come down. Well, people are still waiting, right, Chris? Like I remember the beginning of 2023 and even the beginning of 2022, some people were telling me, I'm just going to wait for the market is about to crash and I'm going to wait for rates to come down. And I would just tell them, like, can you please point me to that data? Because there's nothing that I'm seeing that points to anything other than the opposite. And again, it's just people formulating things in their heads with lack of information, trying to make themselves comfortable on the decisions they're trying to make. Of course, they're waiting for both things to happen, right? They want the perfect storm again, for prices to go down and interest rates to go down. Well, don't hold your breath. And of course, the hesitancy to pay over ask. Now, one thing that I have noticed, of course, is the major multiple offer situations has died down quite a bit. The people really offering way over ask, that has also tapered down quite a bit. It still happens here and there in certain pockets, but I've also even seen areas where properties have sat a little bit longer because the agent didn't necessarily price it right when it first came on the market. They overpriced it, thinking, hey, we're still in this other market. The market speaks, and then there has to be a price reduction because it just wasn't there anymore, right? So there's all these different things that have been happening. And we're going to address those just briefly one by one. So the reluctance to give up that lower rate. Well, one of the things that people have to consider or realize is that the average homeowner right now has an average of about $274,000 in equity in their properties. And they say that there has never been more equity in homes across the United States than we have right now. And here's the other thing, that on the inverse of that, the average family household has over $96,000 in consumer debt. Okay, this isn't their current mortgages. Okay, this doesn't factor in those mortgages. This is consumer debt, like high interest rate credit cards, high interest rate auto loans, and of course the auto loan interest rates have gone up dramatically as well over the years. Other consumer cards for merchant cards and things of that nature. That's a pretty staggering number. I mean, think about it. If you had almost $100,000 in debt, how much weight do you feel on your shoulders every single day, every single month, as that debt is harder and harder to pay off? So it essentially works out to be about $2,300 a month in liabilities if you just factor in kind of like what the minimum payments might be on an average interest rate across the board for those consumer type debts. And so not only is that a dramatic weight on the family household, but also if you're looking to qualify for something, man, that can put a real damper on your DTI qualification standpoint. Now, giving a little perspective, since 1971, the average mortgage rate has been 7.74%. Now, I remember when I bought my house in 2007, I thought I was doing pretty darn good, thinking the rates were kind of like on their dip down. But my first mortgage was just under 7%, and my second mortgage was at 8.25%. And again, I thought I was doing pretty darn good. So there's a skewed perspective of what's been going on here, because that's been the average. What we saw here, rates dipping into the 2s and the 3s and even the 4s, that has really been an unparalleled, like never kind of ever happened before type of situation. And in our lifetime, we're never going to see that again. With the exception of like a buy down, which would be a temporary rate, you're never going to see the base rates at those crazy low levels, 2s and 3s again. So just a little bit of perspective. And when people have told me, "Well, the rates are so high right now," my first response is always like, "Compared to what?" I know people that were buying when interest rates were 18%. So it's all about the need and the perspective. So the next challenge, they're waiting for those rates to come down. The average home price is about $700,000. Now it's different depending on where you are and where you're listening to this. Of course, we're on the West Coast, so prices are a little bit higher, and that's not necessarily the average household or price across the U.S. But we're targeting a little bit more here along the West Coast. Now, did you know that a 1% lower interest rate would make a difference of about $400 a month on your payment? So it can be pretty significant. It's $4,800 a year. And with an average of 5.8 appreciation over the next 12 months, if you were to get into real estate right now, that'd be a gain of over $40,000. So part of the math that we need to do is, well, am I okay? Am I more focused on the $4,800 that it's costing me, or on the $40,000 that I'm gaining in my net worth? So that's one interesting thing to look at and consider right now if you're trying to think about waiting for the interest rates to come down, you're missing out on a different opportunity. So that's really the difference. To buy now earns you or your clients about $40,000 in net worth and appreciation, and it can help reduce an average of $2,300 a month. Why is that? Well, if you were to take some of the equity in your house right now, sell, eliminate that, or get away from that lower rate that you're so clung on to, and get a new property with a cash out, pay off that consumer debt, and still have enough money for a down payment, even though your new rate would be a little bit higher, you would be coming out ahead by $40,000 a year in appreciation, plus saving yourself $2,300 a month. So the difference of $400, that's a net gain of $1,900 a month if you're one of the average who has that kind of consumer debt. So that's really one thing to be looking at. The next challenge is waiting for the house prices to come down. Again, here's the thing about real estate. That's why I've always said, when people have asked me, is it right now a good time to buy? The answer is always yes. It's never mattered where we're at, because the answer is always yes. The sooner you get into real estate, the sooner you can tap into the advantages. And since 1942's, home values have only gone up 73 times and only declined 7 times. And one of those times it was basically flat, right? So for a really, really long time, real estate has only appreciated, with a very rare exception of it coming down a little bit or staying flat. So the sooner you get into the game, the sooner you can start capturing that appreciation. And that little quote, don't bet against the champ. Well, that's basically saying that real estate is the champ, and you're always going to be good in terms of not only the appreciation, but the tax advantages. Right now, a big problem that we've been seeing, of course, is the inventory has been down significantly. It's 38% since 2019. And that's one of the reasons that part of my focus shifted to helping solve that inventory problem by helping the people that are actually building the homes, right? So one of my focuses, some of the people that I love to work with, are small to medium-sized home builders, to get them the financing that they need to actually build the homes that our consumers need as well. And here's another kind of cool statistic that they screwed up on. Let me go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here for a second. Part of the reason that we've had this inventory crisis is the fact that the powers that be got together years ago, and they kind of like track with, okay, what do we need to do? How many homes do we need to build to keep up with demand and with the need of the growing population? And somebody smarter than me did a study, and they said, you know what, millennials are not going to buy. They're mainly going to be renters. They have a different mindset and everything else. So we don't need to really increase the build rate, which was about a little over 3 million homes per year is what they said it was required to just keep pace with the demand. Well, millennials are buying homes, and so is everybody else. And so now we're so far behind, they would say for us to even catch up, it would take about 5.5 million homes being built every year just to try to catch up. What's the problem with that? The builders, there's no possible way, if everything was perfect and there was enough land and the permits were sliding through, they just cannot keep up with the demand. They can't build that many homes. So, but we're going to keep building. Let me give you a little bit of charts, right? The 73,771 record since 1941. The price is up in 2020 and 21. It didn't mean a crash ahead, right? In 1943 through 47, prices were up and compounded by 118%. And the prices went higher for 43 consecutive years until we had a little dip and kind of a flat market. Then prices went higher again for another 10 consecutive years, or another 14 years after that. And then we had a couple little flat areas where we also went down a little bit. We all know the notorious crash, right? Which we also know that's never going to happen again in our lifetime. But that's it. There's a couple little blips where prices went down. And so if you're waiting for prices to go down, you're losing and missing out on a huge opportunity. And even if you're getting out of a current home into another home, you're going to transfer those benefits as well. Let's address number 4. And I think this is less and less. And Chris or anybody can jump into the comments or anything like that too to address this who's actively on the market. But the average appreciation is about 5.8%. They're still saying that we're continuing to appreciate. And of course, this is an average. There's differences per county, and you can look up those specific statistics for the county that you're looking to buy in. But appreciation is going up. So inventory may be continue to be a future potential challenge, because I just told you we would need to build 5.5 million homes or so per year just to get caught up with demand. So we're always going to have this little bit of a issue with inventory. And I just want you to understand that rates matter less than you think. From a standpoint of getting in and taking the advantages of being a homeowner. So those are the 5 basic things. Now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into why it's a good idea to do something now. But just get over that reluctance to give up the low rate and move up, depending on your situation. Reach out to me or another professional that can actually go over your scenario and help you build a clear mortgage plan, and make sure that what you think is an issue is really an issue, or maybe there's a solution for it. Waiting for rates to come down. They are coming down this year. We're expecting a bit more of a softening, but just don't expect rates to go 2-3% back down. Every little bit helps, but they say the cliche, date the rate, marry the home, get into real estate now. And then within a couple of years, we can see if it makes sense for you to refinance again. Waiting for prices to come down. Again, I think you're going to be waiting a long time as they continue to project more appreciation. And the perfect storm, I don't think is going to come, because one thing that you will see more than likely is going to be the opposite. As rates start to come down, one of the things that it does is it actually boosts real estate prices, not the other way around. So here's some of the things that we can't control, we shouldn't worry too much about, right? It's good to know that they're out there, but the jobs report is one of the things that they look at. Inflation, home prices, lack of inventory, interest rates, and the Federal Reserve and what they want to do, right? Those are the things that really we can't control. So let's not try to control them. Let's figure out, okay, what are the things that we can control? One of the things that we can control is our attitude. What's going to be our attitude when we go out there to serve our clients on a daily basis, and what we're going to do, and what kind of energy are we going to bring to the table? Are we going to bring positivity and actually a hope for gain to our clients, or the other way around? The other thing, of course, is our effort. If you're not willing to get out there and put in the work, whether you're an agent or whether you're a consumer that's listening to this, it's going to take some work to prepare yourself for home ownership, to prepare yourself to make the next move, and to be engaged in the process. And of course, that effort translates into what kind of actions are you taking. We have to get our expectations kind of in check, right? We all work together. We all create a team rowing in the same direction. Everything from your preferred lender, your real estate agent, your attorney, your tax person, the people that work in title and escrow. Like there's so many moving parts, and all the expectations kind of have to align, right? So usually our expectations have to be tempered a little bit with reality. And as those challenges come up, like the slide shows here, we just have to push through and not give up and get uh, through to the other end to success. And I don't have time right now, but reach out to me, man. I have some such cool stories of clients that we persevered, we found solutions, and we got to the finish line, and the effort was worth it. And they say that the greatest predictor of your future are your daily actions. So we got to wake up with a plan every single day. What are we going to do? Whether we're going to look at homes, whether we're going to prospect for clients, whether we're going to focus on our marketing, whatever it is that we're going to do there. And then making sure that we attack those things with discipline. And Craig Rochelle says discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. So that's just a little bit of mindset piece right there. Now let's get into some real nitty gritty numbers. And first, I want to talk to you a little bit about what is the cost of waiting to buy for either yourself or for your clients. And here's a pretty great chart. When we're using an average purchase price. Again, we're talking about LA County, so it's going to be a little bit. The numbers going to be different, but the percentages should be about the same. This is on an average kind of roughly $1 million house in LA. Over the course of the next year, you have $55,000 in appreciation, plus your amortization, which is basically meaning the principal reduction payments that you're making on your loans every single month. You know, you're going to gain about $65,000 within that period of time. So that's pretty significant. That's if you wait a year. If you wait 6 months, you can look at the other side, and it's costing about $32,000. So that's a pretty big chunk of change in a 6 month or 1 year period of time. I mean, that's some people's salaries, right? So there's definitely a cost associated the longer you wait. And here's what it would look like with appreciation. It's the same chart, just done a little different way. And in 1 year, your property value would go for say a purchase price of $1 million, all the way up to that 1,055,000. This is just strictly appreciation. This does not factor in your amortization, which we looked at in the previous slide. Now let's look at if you're currently renting, right? Not necessarily your client that is a homeowner now that maybe doesn't necessarily want to sell quite yet. But what if you're looking to buy right now and you're renting? What is that costing you? So let's look at a quick rent versus buy situation and what the net gain would be. Again, using an average price here of $1 million in LA County and some of the surrounding counties. And we're going to extrapolate this over the course of about 9 years, because that's the average that a person stays in a home. About 9 years, maybe 15 at most. But over the course of that 9 years, if you were to buy right now, you would gain almost $600,000 just in the projected appreciation and net worth. And then guess what? You can use that appreciation and that new equity to either improve your lifestyle, buy a refinance, make upgrades, or of course, upgrade again into your next home by using that equity, pull money out to do investments. There's just a variety of things that you have the opportunity to do that you don't necessarily have to work for. You just have to get in the game in order to be able to do it. So that's the appreciation gain there. The amortization on top of that is going to be about $117,000 through that net principal reduction through those payments that you're making every single month. So it's a significant difference in that small period of time of about $1.7 million in equity that you would gain over the course of just a short 9 years. It's better than most investments are giving you out there, unless you're super savvy and know what you're doing. But you know full well most people are having a hard time getting even 0.5% to even 3% returns, on their money, depending on what they're doing. Now let's look at this a little bit more granularly because we want to be all open and transparent. On the front end, going from renting to buying will seem a little bit more expensive, right? It will be a stretch to get into it right now because when you're renting, all you're responsible for is that monthly rent payment, but that monthly rent payment does go up. Guess what doesn't go up? Your mortgage, because it's fixed for 30 years. You still have maybe utilities, you still have insurance for your renter's insurance and other little things that are associated with it. But as you look again in the future, going into 5 years and 6 years and 7 years, the difference that it makes from getting into home ownership versus renting at the end of year 9, renting is costing you way more than being a homeowner. And this is before we even get into the tax advantages. Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's sidebar for just a little bit because some of the things that people don't realize as a renter, this is just the straight cost per cost. What most people don't understand is that when you become a homeowner, you receive a significant tax advantage by being able to write off that mortgage interest and your property taxes. So what kind of significance does that do to your lifestyle? Well, one of the things that I learned and I did when I bought my first house, I went and took my withholdings at work from 0 and I upped them to 6. It's not because I had more dependents. It's because now I knew that I had this tax write-off. And so that made a significant increase in my take-home pay, which allowed me not only to be more comfortable leveling up from renting to owning, but it also helped improve my lifestyle. And guess what? At the end of the year, because I have these significant tax deductions now that renters don't have, I didn't owe the IRS any extra money because it was absorbed by these expenses, even though I was able to increase my take home pay. So it was almost like getting a raise because I'm going to use more of the money that I earned versus sending it to Uncle Sam in taxes, hoping that I don't owe too much at the end of the year or hoping for a refund. Okay, that's not the winning strategy. That's something that you can start doing right now as you start looking to buy your first or your next home. You know, you have those advantages. Now, what about this? Here's a study that shows that your typical homeowner has almost a 40 times greater net worth than your typical renter. Now, that's important. That's significant. You should really consider it because that's one of the ways that people who started with nothing can become and have become extremely wealthy. And part of it is by leveraging real estate for more real estate. Even if it's your home, you can leverage it into an investment property. Then that investment property, you can leverage it into 2 or 3. Those 3 you can leverage into 7, and so on. And if you ever want to talk strategy about that, I'm happy to sit down with you and put a plan in place for those things as well. But this is pretty significant, and this is just across the board. So, what do we want to do? Hopefully, at the end of this, ask questions, reach out to me, but of course, commit to yourself, your family, your future, your dreams, the lifestyle that you want to live, and the legacy that you want to live, what you want to get out of. If you're finally just ready to do something and tired of where you are, let's put a plan in place together for you. And yes, it will require some delayed gratification potentially and sacrificing what I call the lesser things now for the greater thing later. But we got to put that plan in place. And once we do, let's execute it. And let's put together that plan that has a proven system that isn't necessarily going to be emotion based, and that it's something that you wake up and you know every single day, every single week, what am I going to get up to do, and repeat this process day in and day out so that I can win and I can achieve those goals. And then once you have that, just show up, right? Be your best at all times. Show up to every opportunity. Push to live for your full potential. Make sure that you have accountability partner. You set goals, share them with somebody. And of course, if we're working as with one of my great real estate agents, we can set goals together and hold each other to that level of accountability, help each other in training, help each other in networking events, do all kinds of different things that we can do. And if you're looking to buy your next home or investment property and you need some disciplines there and put certain things in place, happy to partner with you on all that stuff too. And then along the way, it gets tough. So make sure that you're celebrating the gains. Reading this great book called The Gap and the Gain, and most high achievers, I think, have an issue with giving themselves credit for anything that they do right in their lives. So just make sure that you're trying to stay in the game and know that you're making progress. And the days that you fall short, maybe, don't beat yourself up too much. Tomorrow's another day, and you can enjoy that journey when you're doing it with the right heart and the right mind. And what I mean by that is the reason that we do this, yes, of course, is to take care of our families, but it's really to serve each other and to serve our clients and helping other people achieve their dreams. And Zig Ziglar said that if you can help enough people achieve their dreams and goals, you will accomplish yours as well. And I butchered that a little bit, but that's the sentiment behind it, right? It's you elevate when you help others elevate as well. And that's everybody. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and some of those talking points. Please reach out to me with any questions. I do specialize in any residential real estate project, everything from your first-time home buyers all the way up to apartment development and everything in between. I have access to over 200 different lenders and more than that many loan programs, because we want to make sure that not only are we providing the best service and the best pricing, but that we don't necessarily have to say no. If it can be done, we can find a solution. Thanks for taking the time to be here with me. My information is right there. Reach out anytime, and we'll talk to you soon.